In this video, I'm going to show you how I combine some bullet journal principles with a Japanese-style Hobonichi-inspired planner, which for me is the right mix of flexibility and structure. I'll also be talking about how planning based on energy rather than urgency made all the difference for me when choosing and prioritizing tasks. So before I get into my actual system, and for those of you unfamiliar with it, what is a bullet journal? It's a system devised by writer Carol, who used it to manage and organize his life as someone who struggled with ADHD. It's often referred to in the planner community as Bujo, and I like how Kendra Adachi from The Lazy Genius describes the bullet journaling method as a potato. It seems bland and boring and unassuming on the outside, but what really makes it shine is not what it is, but what it could be. So think about it as turning the potato into yummy French fries, hash browns, or mashed potatoes. So the bullet journal has several main parts, and I'm going to show them to you today using this template that I downloaded from the reMarkable methods. If you're a Connect subscriber, you can download it for free on the reMarkable website. So all bullet journals have an index page for quick reference for all your pages, a future log to plan tasks and appointments ahead, a monthly log which can be used to plan ahead or log what has already occurred, a weekly log where you can have your action plan to write down what you can get done this week, in the weekly reflection where you can think about the things that you want to leave behind and what you want to take with you moving forward. It also has a daily log, which is where you capture all the tasks, notes, and events as they come in the day-to-day. Also, you have a collection section where you collect tasks or notes by theme or topic. One of the hallmarks of bullet journaling is rapid logging, where you use simple bullets and symbols to quickly capture tasks, events, and notes without overthinking it. A common way is to use a dot for tasks, a circle for events, and a dash for notes. So rapid logging is designed to be fast and frictionless, so you don't need perfect clarity from the get-go, like immediately categorizing input like tasks, events, or notes. You just write it down, there's no decision fatigue, and you can also personalize the bullet points so they make sense to you, which I love. However, there are two things that don't quite work for me. So for instance, when we return to the monthly log, the dates come in a list format vertically like this. And this makes Bujo so low friction, but it just isn't working for me because I visualize things like a calendar from Monday to Sunday. I need to see my months in a calendar format like this, so I can visualize them across a week and remember them better. Also, I'm a weekly planner gal. So if we actually go back to the weekly logs, it looks like this, which could work, but not for me because I need a calendar with all 7 days of the week so I can plan my tasks ahead and think ahead. And with this one, it's just not clicking. I know that if you're working with a physical bullet journal, then maybe it's fine that you can set it up as you want it. Even with this one, I can just draw the calendar in any case, but I would really need something that already has that structure so that I don't have to set it up each and every time. So this is where my Hobonichi-inspired planner comes in. If you're not familiar, it's this well-loved Japanese brand that's super popular for its minimal yet functional design and the high-quality Tomoe River paper it uses that's great for fountain pen lovers. So obviously, as I'm using the reMarkable Paper Pro now as my main driver, I needed something that's in digital format, and I made this one so that it will fit my workflow and what I need in a planner. As you can see, it looks like this, and I love this aesthetic. I'm really very much an unstructured kind of person. I need this space, but I also need the lines for my notes to be readable. So aside from the grid format, what I really love is the weekly layout. So usually in this type of planner, you will see a vertical layout and a horizontal layout. And this one is my favorite. I find it to be the most versatile, but that's just a personal preference. As you can see on the left side, you've got 7 days of the week arranged with these nice dated spaces. I don't know if you can see it, but there's these 2 dots here and here that can be handy to divide the space even more, which is actually how I used it here. Then on the right side, there's an open grid space for whatever you want, notes, lists. When I see this, I already have an intuitive feel of how I may use the sections. So the free space is more for open kind of thinking, the dated space for containing tasks, and the dots for the possibility for categorization. As I said before, I really like seeing my week as a whole. It's a quick gauge of how busy I'll be so I can mentally prepare and adjust my expectations accordingly. And I also feel less pressure because I can just migrate the tasks when I don't end up doing them and they're still top of mind. mind. So, as someone who loves the rapid logging approach of the bullet journal but having a calendar-oriented weekly approach to planning, I've since adopted this hybrid system where the principles are borrowed from the bullet journal, but the structure makes the most of this Hobonichi-inspired kind of layout. And now let me show you what this actually looks like in practice. So I start by capturing all the tasks I'd want to focus on this week, including those that I hadn't completed from last week. I usually accumulate tasks from 4 places. So first is my email, then conversations with other people in meetings or phone calls, my idea notebook, which I have in my reMarkable move. So my idea notebook looks like this, and also my planner. So what I do is I just do a running list of my tasks using a circle here. And then I check the tasks that I haven't really gotten around doing from the previous week. So I have these 3, and I can just copy them like so, and then go to that page. I realized that I mostly use this list for tasks, and when it comes to events, deadlines, or time-bound tasks, I just go straight to the dated space, or I even just go directly to the schedule or to the vertical layout. I know that rapid logging is supposedly a no-frills, frictionless approach where you just log everything on this page, but for me, I like going straight to the calendar for events. If it's several weeks away especially, then I add it to my monthly page. So I'm just going to show you real quick. I go to this, and then I know that I have a meeting there or an important deadline, then I log it there straight away. Then I go back to my weekly log. I also added 2 other things on this open grid space aside from my running task list. Active projects, so they're top of mind, and I can make sure I'm adding tasks this week that contribute to the completion of that project, and then a follow-up or discuss section below, since I mostly need to clear things with my colleagues for some things to happen, and I need a quick reference to them so that I don't forget. Now, this is where this layout really shines for me. So at the start of each work or day, I categorize my running lists into the dated space. And the fact that I can have 3 categories by dividing this space up, I can use it to categorize my quick wins, regular tasks, and draining tasks. So here's what I do. I draw a straight line that runs through the page using those dots as guides. So it doesn't matter if it's not a straight line. You can just keep your hand where it is for a few seconds, and then it draws it like so. So now you can really group your tasks whichever way you want. And I just choose to categorize my tasks this way because I realized that my biggest blocker is not that I don't know how to prioritize my tasks, but it's about low motivation or task avoidance. It forces me to reflect on why I find it draining. Mostly it's because the information is uncertain, or it involves too many steps, or it's unpleasant. So writing it down makes me question why it seems to be draining my energy. And then if it's just because there's just too many steps and I'm getting overwhelmed, then I can just use this project section here. So for example, this grant application, I just write down the steps and the due date. And then here you can also use it for some notes for you to brainstorm on what exactly you need to complete this project. So planning tasks based on the energy needed to complete them has been very helpful for me. And the structure that the Hobonichi-style layout provides for this invites this type of approach to planning. So I can imagine that you can also divide your tasks by time of day, like morning, afternoon, night, by life area, like work, business, or personal, or even by urgency, like urgent, important, or low priority. So at the end of each day or at the end of the week, I review my tasks. What's important is that you have a system or some time dedicated to actually reviewing it and moving things around. So this is the bullet journal migration concept, but the Hobonichi kind of layout makes it so much more visual and easy to do in my case, in this horizontal layout. And the beauty of having everything on one weekly spread is that migration doesn't feel like this huge chore. So moving a task from Wednesday to Thursday, for example, is as easy as copying it with a lasso and moving it down like this. So with the traditional bullet journal, I'd have to switch between pages to find the next daily spread. And in a digital planner like this, where a page is a few taps away, it presents more friction. So let me show you an example. So imagine I have this in my daily page. So imagine I'm bullet journaling here. it's not bad, but I'll have switch pages. But if I'm actually just using it on my weekly planner, then I just have to stay on that page. By the way, I don't delete tasks when I have moved them from the running list to the dated part. I just mark them with an arrow like this. And this creates like a trail of how things evolved over the week, which is actually really helpful to look back on. And when I finish them, I just cross them out both here and here. And I really like crossing things out on my to-do list. Maybe it's not as neat or clean, but it gives a certain level of satisfaction that just doesn't quite do it with just doing it like this. Now, another way I'm using the bullet journal method is through the collections idea. And in my case, I have a separate lists section. So currently I have several lists. First one is the someday lists, as well as ideas for my next Substack or YouTube post. So there are things that is not happening or is not actionable in the near future. So for example, this balcony redecoration that we're planning, I just go straight to my someday list. And as I showed you before, I also have the project section where I hash out the steps of a project. So it serves as a collection of tasks related to one end goal or product. To wrap up, this hybrid system that I showed you of combining some bullet journal principles with this Hobonichi-inspired type of planner gives me the best of both worlds. And so I get that rapid logging freedom from bullet journaling, but I also get the calendar structure from a well-loved layout. So if you're someone who thinks in calendars and plans week by week and struggles with motivation or task avoidance, then this system might work for you, like using these divisions to group your tasks into quick wins, regular, and draining tasks. Let me know down in the comments if you're using the bullet journal method, a Hobonichi style planner like this, or a bit of both. I genuinely love hearing about what's working or not working for other people, especially for us who plan using our e-ink tablets. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.